Star Wars the Forces of Evil. I like the show. Just never really came around to do a video on it, but since I want to mix things up this year, let's tackle the latest episode, Total Eclipsa and the Moon. Season 3 of Star has been a rather mixed bag so far, at least as far as I'm concerned. I have a lot of issues how things are handled in this season, and I will probably tackle them in a later video. But if there's one thing I truly adore about the season, then it is Eclipsa. Being a disgraced queen of Muni who had a romantic relationship with a monster and studied the dark arts made her somewhat interesting from the get-go. It didn't take long for the show to spice things up even further by revealing that she is as much of a goofball as Star herself. Another thing that makes her rather interesting is that while she was teased as the next big bad of the show, it seems actually a bit more complicated than that. She seems surprisingly genuine in her interaction with Star, and the revelation that she actually never did anything wrong besides hooking up with a monster and studying the dark arts for a bit makes you wonder if she truly is supposed to be a villain. Now, this episode only brings up further questions in that regard, but maybe I'm getting ahead of myself. Total Eclipsa and the Moon was aired alongside the Bog Beast of Bogabar, and the two episodes take place at the same time, only that the Bog Beast episode is far less interesting to talk about. After Star told her mother about Meteora, Moon decides to take a look into the butterfly family history and ask Eclipsa a couple of questions regarding her doctor. Officially her doctor is supposed to be Festiva, who was named queen after Eclipsa's imprisonment. Eclipsa, however, claims that she has no idea who that Festiva is and that she would like to know what happened to her real doctor. She manages to convince Moon to sneak into the royal archives with her to find out the truth behind Festiva and Meteora, only to discover that someone obviously messed with the records. Moon accidentally sets off the alarms and they manage to escape just in time before they are caught by the other members of the Magic High Commission. And that's about it. Actually, there's not that much going on in this episode, but what happens is important and puts many things into a new perspective. But first of all, I need to get some of my pet peeves out of the way. Why doesn't Queen Moon know where to find the royal archive? Why can't the ruling Queen of Muni enter it at will when it only exists to keep record of the butterfly family history? Not to mention that she is the current head of the Magic High Commission and the archives are located in the bureaucracy of magic, which is led by the High Commission. So why doesn't she know where it is and why can't she enter it whenever she wants? Even if we assume that she needs the permission of the other members of the High Commission, there wouldn't be a reason to sneak into it. I mean, why would any of the other members deny her request to check them out? Especially since checking the records when they plan to put Eclipsa on trial is rather reasonable. Not to mention that the existence of the archives themselves open up more questions. Queen Moon says it herself. These records would have been a great help to press charges against Eclipsa. If she indeed did anything wrong, it would have been recorded there, leaving no doubt that her imprisonment was either completely justified or not. And last but not least, the more I think about it, it seems like this episode was originally conceived with Star in mind instead of Moon. It would make much more sense that Star wouldn't have access to the archives or even knows about them until Eclipsa brings them up. And replacing Moon with Star wouldn't really change the overall plot of the episode either. Only a couple of lines of dialogue here and there, but that's about it. With that out of the way, let's talk about the big revelations in this episode. The most noteworthy obviously being the fact that Eclipsa's successor Festiva only came into power as part of a giant cover-up. Especially that Eclipsa doesn't even have an idea who Festiva is should raise some eyebrows, as it implies that Queen Moon and Star might not even be part of the butterfly lineage. So, if we assume that this is true, then they don't even have a claim to the throne, making Meteora the actual Queen of Muni. I wouldn't be surprised if that is an important plot point to the upcoming season finale. And speaking of Meteora, it is also rather odd that her existence was apparently erased from all records as part of said cover. This brings up the question how Mina knew about Meteora. I mean, sure, she is insane, but it seems like she is either much older than she looks and actually was around when everything happened, or that she has some connection to whoever is behind that cover-up. The question obviously is, who is responsible? Was it this Queen Festiva? Will she show up as a true villain? Or will it be someone else? Well, guess we'll have to wait to find out. That being said, I'm still not quite sure what Eclipsa's deal is. At the time it seemed like she was screwed over because she fell in love with a monster and she seemingly really cares about her lost daughter, but her casual suggestion to mind wipe that one guard is obviously meant to be an immoral action to show that there is still a more sinister side to her. Now at this point it is rather hard to say if she is truly a villain or not. Her general nice behavior could be an act, and even if it is genuine, it could still be a red herring to catch the audience off guard later on. Or maybe she is just a somewhat misunderstood person. In any case, her playing a guitar made out of bones was hilarious. At this point the show could go both ways, but she's just so much fun that I don't really care. She's a great character regardless. And with that being said, let's wrap things up. Total Eclipse and the Moon is one of the better Season 3 episodes, which have been rather hit and miss lately, and it has decent pacing, even though that scene with the spider felt a bit like padding. The revelations about Eclipsa, Meteora and Festiva are all rather intriguing and do make me wonder what comes next. But while I really enjoyed this episode, Eclipsa shouldn't have teamed up with Moon. It just doesn't make any sense. Star should have sneaked into the archives, not her mother. But what about you? Have you watched this episode? Anything that bothered you? What are your thoughts on Festiva? Let me know in the comments and consider to subscribe and check out my Patreon. I am Tricky Fox. Stay foxy.
Sly as a fox, you got me under your spell. But you know I'll never tell that I know you know so well. Sometimes you can be